Hi, today we're going to talk about a webinar of IEEE 1547 implementation update that was in August uh, 2018. So let's have a look and talk about it. So to our the monthly seminar series is for those of the people who are not familiar with the IE this particular standard. So this is a membership-based non-profit organization that is providing all these facilities. So implementation of IEEE 1547 standard in Massachusetts, infrastructure ranging from transportation to buildings and water assisted by data and communication registration is open. Everyone's invited in this was invited in this webinar. So let's have a look what was discussed in this particular webinar. So moving on from here, we will see as a protection engineer at National Grid, and this is being designed by some protection engineer at the National Grid. So let me just quickly move on to the next slide, where it talks about the implementation. So here we have the categories were introduced as standard, but just as it is said that just make sure we are on the same page. Um, so let's do a quick overview of the categories, and then we will move on to the basically the experience in Massachusetts pursuant to the driver for some new right-through requirements in England, and also what was the interim solution in Massachusetts until they see a fully revised 1540 7.1 standard published until then, so that they really won't have any equipment that is certified by NREL basically that meets the 1547 requirements, but there is an interim solution that they implemented in the Massachusetts to meet the right through requirements that were basically requested by ISO New England, and finally they will also talk about the light plan in Massachusetts uh, on how to basically implement the rest of these standards. So starting out what's right, adult age regulation, frequency regulation, and so on. So moving on to the next slide. This table lists the three categories that are identified in 1547 standards. Let's give you a little bit of background on why were you even thinking about the concept of a right thought or the categorization for rights through if you can compare flexibility synchronous generator with an inverter, and then you could like to say 50% under voltage on the terminals of both the synchronous generator will have a limited capability to withstand the under voltage by 50% for an extended period of time. Okay, it can become unstable and overspeed and so on. Whereas inverter technology, they really don't care what the under voltage value is as long as there is a voltage reference there. They can withstand it, and they stay on for an extended period of time. So the point he is trying to make is technology matters when it comes to the characteristics of the they are type. So locating machines versus of power electronic based technologies. So the whole idea of 1527 what was like we have to remain technology neutral, so coming up with one set of requirements that meets both dogfighting machines and inverters and stay acknowledging neutral was really almost impossible. So what they did, they categorized the requirements and said, why don't just start with category one for DRs, then meet the basic electronic bulk electric spark system needs from some perspective, and then category two and three, move on to You know some of the requirements that are mentioned, and PR nerve PR C024, and some that may address like fit for events, fault induced voltage recovery event, and also category. There would be more like advanced requirements when he says advanced, meaning like wide range for tip plus the right through capability itself, and some new records like they used documents like California Route 21 and Hawaiian Rule 14H, so that this was the idea behind this categorization, that they wanted to make sure that we come up with some requirements that cover most of the stadium state of the art technologies with other rotating machines and embroider based technologies. So we have two categories who right through. Moving on to the next slide, I just put an example. He just put an example of what you're going to see in the standards. When it comes to voltage drive through, this is just a category 3 volt to drive through figure. Of course, you are going to see one of category 2 and one for category 1, but the whole concept is the same. We want the generalized to our state on support during bulk system disturbances. And so let's just like go through this figure for a second, just to make sure we can all understand how to read basically. That is important. Let's start with two, both blue points, so 1 and 2, and the red. These are the default values for the chip. Okay, and for blue, like for example, number 2, here is like 50% drip at 2 seconds. That's the default. The arrow shows the ranges of adjustability. So of course, some of the requirements are going to have a right through in some parts of the country, maybe the different than the parts due to like penetration of the renewable and um, and plus, some countries as well that are adopting 1547 may not be happy with those default numbers. So the arrows are there so that the engineers can request like a different setting for trip, and then if that request is setting is within the adjustable range, uh, the DRs still remains in our key L certified, so you are not violating the certification by changing those trip points. The write through itself is a capability, is not a trip. If you look at this bigger, here's the green area. Says do not trip. It's like a continuous write through requirements. It continues the continuous operation of DER, that the voltage is between 110%, 88%. DER will remain connected and produce power. The mandatory operation, the concept is similar, and the only difference is like there's like a limited time for the mandatory operation, and the area that has been recently or has been introducing the new standard, the problems momentarily cessation capability. This is mainly about applicable to category 2 and 3. And that the idea is that more like embroidery-based technologies have this capability that when the voltage goes below certain limit, in this particular case, as it default is like 50%, the voltage goes below that inverter stops producing current, but they are not physically disconnected from grid. So they want the voltage recovers and goes back about 50%. They can start producing current immediately. So right now this is like 5 minutes reconnection time, and all of that is going away. This is the concept of momentary cessation if there is no trip, physical trip. So this is actually what's very important. Momentarily, somewhere we use they are using in Massachusetts to resolve some of the distribution systems protection issues, which he's going to cover later on. So that's the reason he put it in here. Make sure that we are familiar with the concept, and then the gray area is shout trip, which is self-explanatory. And I think that's it for this figure. So moving on to the next slide. For the categories 1, 2, 3, we only came up with one set of frequency line through. requirements. And what you see here is the figure. There is a stable understanding associated with this bigger number. He personally feels more comfortable of presenting figures and tables and numbers. So if you are interested in looking at the exact numbers, it can refer to the standard and make a look at it, the table itself. But the idea is again the same. We want the DRs to stay on and support the grid during now frequency disturbance now. So you see the green area as the continuous operation of DRs for frequencies became 58 points something point 6 hertz mandatory operation with a limited trip time basically or duration. And also, May right through May trip plus the shell trip regions. All right. So, and then so this includes two blue points we wanted to, and they are red. These are also two default values, and the arrow shows the range of the adjustability. So that's kind of like a background then on what is being required now for the right troop and the moon 1547. And if you're interested in again more like to details and consecutive right through and all of those, so we will continue the next video from here. So this is it for now. Thank you.